Hi, and welcome to our presentation on toilet learning. Even though all of us have gone through this process in our own lives, this topic is one that many parents find quite challenging. It's one of those outward signs that others can see, and many feel judged about their parenting if their child is still in diapers. Aside from the outside pressure, take a moment to think of reasons why you may have to want your child to learn to use the toilet. You can put the presentation on hold for a moment to think about your reasons. Over the years, some of the more common reasons we have heard from parents include the very practical, such as needing them to be trained for a particular preschool program, or to go in the pool, or wanting to eliminate the cost of diapers. Some parents are tired of changing diapers, and some are concerned about having two in diapers. For others, they are concerned about the child's development. They worry about the implication with classmates if their child is the last to still wear diapers. And others have commented that at a certain point privacy becomes an issue and the child should be caring for his or her own body. Perhaps you can relate to many of these reasons, and perhaps you have a few of your own for wanting your child to learn to use the toilet.
You may have noticed that we use the words learn to use the toilet or toilet learning. More commonly, people refer to it as toilet training. We make this distinction because training implies that parents have the ability to teach their children and that the success or failure falls on the parent. We like the term learning because we think it acknowledges the child's part in it and also takes into account that it is a process which can take time. Yes, for some it can happen overnight, but for most it takes a while until they are fully prepared and able to use the toilet 100% of the time. This may not match your image or the stories that you've heard about your own toileting success. It's true that children were trained to use the toilet at a much younger age in the past. Work by Dr. T. Berry Brazelton found that in the 1960s, most children were trained by 27 months. In contrast, during the 90s, the age has risen dramatically. Only 4% were trained by 2 years, 22% by 2.5, 60% by age 3, 88% by age 3.5, and only 2% were not trained by 4 years of age.
Why the shift? Is there an evolutionary component to our bladder and bowel control? Unlikely. The answers relate more to certain inventions and cultural changes. In days of yore, many people did not have washers and dryers. Dirty diapers had to be washed by hand, and in the winter or rainy weather, strung across the house to dry. Parents were quite motivated to teach their children to use the toilet. In addition, teaching a child to use a toilet can be time-intensive. In the olden days, children were taken to sit on the toilet on a schedule, one which the parent followed closely. To do so, a parent needed to have a toilet readily available, not something most working parents or busy on-the-go stay-at-home parents have on hand. If you like to antique, you may even find one of those old high chairs with a potty seat built in. Times have changed. In the past, parents were quite motivated and were often the ones to be trained. So today, children use the toilet later because parents can wait until their children are ready to assume the responsibility. And what a responsibility it is. As adults, we talk about going to the bathroom as though it were one easy step. In reality, many steps are involved. And here's a list for you to look at, and you may be able to even come up with more. It's a lot that children have to do, and it's not surprising that many kids are reluctant to take on the responsibility. Part of the trick to successful toilet learning is judging when your child is ready. The following information is meant to help you decide.
First of all, you can consider your child's maturity level. Maturity level is the combination of ability and motivation. Sometimes parents will see a child who seems to have the ability to control their bodily functions, but who doesn't want to do so. This is not so unreasonable in light of all the steps we just mentioned that kids need to go through to use the bathroom. At other times, a child may be quite motivated, particularly if friends or classmates are using the potty, but they just can't seem to get the hang of it. Until both pieces come together, a child is not fully ready to use the toilet. To further complicate matters, we can consider how able and how motivated a child is on a number of different factors. Physically, does the child have the ability to manipulate all of the buttons, seats, lights? Does he have the ability to recognize the signs that he needs to go and to hold off until he's in the appropriate place? There's a neurological piece that comes into play for the bladder to send signals to the brain. It all takes time to develop. Emotionally, is the child ready to handle a responsibility? Can they handle having an accident? Will they get overly upset? Are they willing and able to tell you when they have an accident and to help clean up? Intellectually, do they understand all the things involved and are they able to communicate their needs to you? Socially, are they willing to stop their play to go and use the facilities? Ideally, all of these pieces will be in place before a child tries to learn to use the toilet. Often this is not the case, and they have greater ability or greater motivation. Having this awareness is helpful to you as a parent because you can use it to see what types of assistance your child needs. Remember, sometimes you have reasons for wanting your child out of diapers, and that's okay. It just will take more time and support from you to help your child over the hurdles.
You want to think about the circumstances surrounding your timing. Did you just move or have a major change in your household? Sometimes such adjustments can throw a child off balance and may not be the time to add the additional stress of worrying about toileting. Is there a new baby in the house? Many children seem to regress a bit with the addition of a little one. They aren't quite ready to give up being the baby themselves. Some, however, do relish the idea of being the big brother or sister and all the glory and responsibilities associated with it. In this case, you may find that your child wants to be out of diapers to distinguish himself from the baby. So if your child is the one to express the interest, try to foster it. With the new baby, you may be spending more time at home anyway. However, if your child seems reluctant, this is not usually the most productive time to introduce toileting or any new skill.
In addition, some children find it easier to use the toilet than others because of their temperament, which are traits that are inborn and describe many aspects of our personality. For example, a child who has a high activity level may have trouble sitting on the potty. One who has a high sensory threshold may not notice that he's wet. One whose biologic clock is irregular may not need to go at predictable times, such as upon waking or after eating. A child who focuses intently on what he is doing may have a more difficult time stopping what he's doing to go to the bathroom. It doesn't mean that these children will not master toileting. It means that for them it may be a greater challenge and they may need more support from you to help them sit still, to recognize that they need to go, to recognize that they're wet, and to break away from what they're doing.
Also, it's important to note that children go through periods of development where their behavior is smoother and other periods where their behavior is quite rough, sort of like a roller coaster. When your children are in a rough patch, known as disequilibrium, everything is more difficult. Getting dressed, getting in and out of the car, eating meals, and cleaning up toys. Younger children typically cycle in and out of these periods of equilibrium and disequilibrium every 6 months, with the half years typically encompassing the difficult behaviors. Not surprisingly, during periods of disequilibrium, when everything is so difficult, it is not usually advisable to add yet another area that is primed for a power struggle. Toileting, particularly, since this area is one in which you ultimately do not have any control. Like the new sibling in the house discussion, some children want to do it by myself as they go through disequilibrium. These kids may actually want to learn to use the toilet as part of their growing independence. So again, if your child is the one asking, keep encouraging them, even if it's a period of disequilibrium.
Let's say you've now decided that this is a good time for your child to learn to use the toilet. Here are the 10 steps to follow. Step 1. Relax. A calm, easygoing approach to toilet learning works best. Comfort level and relaxation about toilet learning is actually more important than any single correct method. You should only start when you have the time and patience.
Step 2. Show your child what he or she is to do in the bathroom. It's best if fathers or men can help teach the sons and women or mothers teach the daughters. You can also use dolls to practice all of the steps.
Step 3. Teach your child the words your family uses for body parts, urine, and bowel movements. Remember to select words you'll be comfortable with them using in the middle of a large family dinner.
Step 4. Help your child recognize when he or she is urinating or having a bowel movement. Verbalize to your child what's occurring. Help the child become aware of how uncomfortable wet, sticky diapers are and how comfortable it feels to be dry.
Step 5. Borrow or purchase a potty chair or a potty attachment for the toilet. Let your child get used to the idea of sitting on the potty. Realize that the act of urinating is complex, and give your child time to practice bathroom habits. Don't rush him or her.
Step 6. Begin reading books to your child about going to the bathroom. Emphasize the universality and maturity of going on the toilet. Remember, everyone does it.
Step 7. Use training pants and easy-to-remove clothing without a lot of buttons or snaps. Call learning pants underpants and point out that other family members wear them.
Step 8. Beginning when your child tells you that he or she has to go to the potty, stop and help him or her with the clothing and assist him or her onto the potty. Praise success and reassure about misses. Accidents are outside the child's control and are part of the learning process. Be gentle. Often children are already upset when they have accidents and need their parents' support.
Step 9. Limit sitting on the potty to 5 minutes for your sanity and theirs. Some kids hate to sit, others love that they have your full attention and will want to stay for as long as they can.
And Step 10. Hygiene. Teach them how much toilet paper to use, how to wipe, and how to wash their hands. A way to test if your child is ready is to have an underwear weekend. You would need to pick a time when you have few outside obligations, you are able to do extra laundry, and you have the time and patience to work with your child. You can explain that for this weekend your child is going to wear underwear. If you see progress and your child seems to be getting the hang of it, you can continue. If your child has many accidents and you're not seeing steady progress, then the weekend is over and diapers are in place again. It wasn't a failure, rather the weekend was up, and you could try again in a few weeks, a few months, or whenever your child seems ready. If your child has many of these readiness factors in place, the process of toilet learning can go fairly quickly and smoothly. Some children have very few accidents. If your child isn't fully ready, but you've started, and you're both willing to commit, then with a bit of patience your child will get there too. Once you start, ideally you don't want to go back and forth between wearing underwear and diapers. All children do get there. If you can wait, it's best to do so until your child is motivated and willing to work with you. If it is turned into a power struggle and you can wait, it's best to back away from the issue for the time being and then try again in the future. If you decide that now is the time, then don't present wearing underwear or sitting on the toilet as an option. Give simple, direct instructions about what is to happen, and remember to bring along your patience. A lot of luck in the process and journey of toilet learning, and also much patience.